So imagine you're getting mugged. Guy chases you down a dark alley, and once y'all hit a dead end, he says to you, "Ha, I got a gun and you don't." You think it's over, but you pull out one of the most practical moves anybody could use. A front lever. Awestruck by your ability to perfectly perform the front lever, he begs for forgiveness and runs away, but not before giving you his life savings. So today, I'm gonna show you how I mastered the front lever fast, with only a few simple progressions. Now, the front lever, in my opinion, is probably one of the easier calisthenic moves to learn. But for those of you who are generally new to calisthenics, let me explain. Okay, now don't ask how I got on this rooftop. Actually, go ahead, ask, and I'd probably say something like calisthenics. Simple definition of calisthenics: using the meat on your bones to work out. Push-ups, squats, the general things, or you can do something a bit more complex, like the planche and front lever, for example. Now, while these are cool party tricks that probably won't guarantee you getting any girls, it's always good to test your limits. Now, while they're difficult and time-consuming to master, they're not entirely impossible. Keep two things in mind: leverages and your center of gravity. Now, if you constantly think about that, calisthenics should be a little bit easier. So assuming you didn't pay attention to physics, let's take this easy bar for example, with a base weight of roughly 18 pounds. Now, if I pick it up from the center here, as you can see, it is quite easy to move. 20 pounds, that's nothing. That's roughly the weight of my dick. Now, if I come over here to the side, Willis, it's still being 18 pounds. As you can see, it is much more difficult to move. Now, see, I consider myself a pretty strong dude. And so to see me struggling with 20 pounds? Psh. Now, despite it still weighing about 20 pounds throughout both of these trials, the reason why the first one was so much easier to move is because I was moving it via its center of gravity. So moving the weight from a leverageable position will always allow you to move it easier. So as long as you perform the exercise with your center of gravity in mind, this should be pretty easy. So looking at how the front lever is performed, you will have your hands lined up with your lower midsection, or probably where your quads connect to your pelvis. This will provide you with the center of gravity that you need to perform this. Now, a couple prerequisites to the front lever are having a strong back and an extremely strong core. And heavy emphasis on the strong core if you do expect to hold and maintain that rigid plank structure. It's gotta keep my rigid shape. Okay. People tend to forget that your core is also your spinal erectors in the back and not just your abs. So if I go to the gym and I see one more person claiming that they're gonna work core, but instead they just sit there doing very shitty planks, I'm gonna hurt someone. Speaking of which, start out your core with planks. So for those of you who actually slacked off in gym class, we like to call this a plank. Now watch out! Now, if you're one of those people who slacked off in gym class and stopped doing your planks only when the teacher stopped looking and only resumed only when they were looking, this might be a pain in the ass for you. So try to hold this plank for a few sets lasting about 30 seconds to a minute. And remember, cheeks clenched and try to stay rigid. I gotta get a frame with my... Listen, I need to get a frame. I'm gonna release the dogs. I need them grippers for the grip.
You gotta get the grip.
I gotta get that grip. Now, I would call these something like Spider-Man's. This is the hardest of the hard plank. Once those effects are so useless to the point where you can hold a pretty shitty straddle planche for only a few seconds, I think you're good. After these, try to work on leg raises. This will help boost your core strength even more. Do about a few sets of these for about 10 reps. I prefer hanging from a bar because it really challenges that center of gravity we keep talking about, and it really makes you engage that core. Even more when you actually keep your legs perfectly straight. Now, if you feel that these have become defective, maybe try adding some weight, because that just makes everything better. Now, these are like strap-ons. So you can find these at like your local drug dealer, but pretty much these are like 5 pounds. You strap these onto your legs, right? But this is to really get your core popping. Hey, bud, look at my Gucci steppers. And so once you got them leg raises in the bag, it's time for the more static exercises. The L-sit. Oh, I'm about... A great calisthenics moves that not only will help as a prerequisite for other calisthenic moves in the future, but it also does help to impress those hot milfs in your area. So once you can hold this for a while and then do it pretty easily, I think you're ready for the last and probably the best core progression. The dragon flag.
Oh, that's mommy.
This one helps you take that rigid form you will need for the front lever. The more parallel to the ground you are with this exercise, the better, because you're actually training yourself to stay more parallel to the ground whenever it is time to perform the front lever. Now, this is too hard to start off with. Try starting where your toes pointed more towards the ceiling. And as you get used to the exercise, lower your entire body gradually until you are parallel with the floor. Remember, hold it till your legs are shaking. Congrats, now you have a strong core. Now let's focus on blowing that back out. Now for the back aspect, you need to treat it like you're doing a very complicated lat pull down. Start out by being able to do 10 pull-ups. Once you can do about 3 to 4 sets of these, you're good. Now this is how you blow your back out. Now what we're just gonna do hella pull-ups, And this will kind of get your back strong enough to handle the load that you're gonna be taking in a little bit. Now to stimulate the motion of a front lever, we're gonna start doing some lat pullovers. Sorry, it's in my daily intake of creatine. Anyway, well, this next exercise we're going to do now, this is what we call a lat pull down or pullover, whichever you call it, right? Oh, fuck. Okay, so here we have like 70 pounds loaded on here. So this is kind of like moderately heavy, right? So first we're gonna get on our knees. And so this will kind of help us with the holding portion of the front lever. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring it down, hold it at the bottom for like 3 seconds. And on the eccentric, we're going to slowly go up. Now you might be new to working out. Oh my God, what is eccentric? So there's eccentric and then there's concentric. So look at it like this, concentric, contracting. So when I do this, I'm contracting. When I do this, I'm eccentric acting. You get my drift. By slowly going up, you're really training that core and your lats. It's the easiest way to get that mind-muscle connection. I'm gonna wipe this off. Do this for about another 3 sets of 6 to 8. Then we're ready to put all that we've learned into application. Sort of. So now that we got that core fairly developed and that back relatively blown out, we're ready for these thingies. Now this exercise perfectly simulates the motion of the front lever. Except at this point, you're not quite holding it just yet. Now pull up to the top and try to hold the front lever position for as long as you can before easing your way back down slowly. So keep at this for a little bit, and if you follow all instructions, you should have this in no time. Now depending on your strength and experience level, you could probably skip around some of these steps at your own leisure. Now it really didn't take me that long to get it down, considering I've been fairly active for a while. I'd say maybe like a month or two. It could take you anywhere from probably a couple weeks to a few months, if you're lucky. But if you're watching this video thinking, 2 months? I ain't got time for that. I want it now. Just remember that those 2 months are gonna pass whether you put in that work or not. Would you rather spend those 2 months going after a goal you wanted? Or would you rather be there in 2 months thinking to yourself, man, I wish I would have listened to that real ass advice that Jeff dude gave me? So yeah, go out and chase your goals. Rome wasn't built overnight. But yeah, this was Jeff's method. I need an outro for that shit, bro. That shit cold, bro.